Okay, I want to kind of pause from where we're going. I know we're in the middle of talking about stacks and queues. I think we have a good idea of a stack. Before we go into queue, I do want to actually go into the STL. I think the sooner I get into the STL, the better off things should be in the long run. So the STL, I don't have any slides prepared for you, but it's the standard template library is what it stands for, which is the standard C++ library that you use when developing code. You're going to find out that a lot of the data structures we're building are actually inside of the STL, which you may ask, why are we then building them ourselves? Well, that's because we need to learn them and understand them, and that's usually the best way to do it. But the reason why I want to talk about the STL is once you build it, understand it, instead of using your code, you might as well just use the STL moving forward, because they have tested it a lot more and they have optimized it. So their code's going to be better than yours. Please take no offense to that. That's just the way it is.
Nope.
So just use theirs. Now for every lab, including lab 10, you may not use the STL. I'm going to make sure in our future labs that I tell you if you can use anything from the STL or not. And the purpose of that is to make sure that you actually implement the data structures correctly. So please don't use them, because then you'll get a 0. But anyways, one thing I wanted to point out is if I do STL and I just type in the word stack, load it up. Oh look, C++ reference. And let's jump on over. I'm really tired of that keyring, so I'll go ahead and give you my password. Go. Yeah. Oh, that is what my password is. Star, 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 star. It's not your password?
Yeah, yes.
It's easy. You can copy and paste it all day long, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, best password ever. Hey, look, they have a LIFO stack implementation. Oh, isn't that cute? Ah. You have a function called empty. Let's see, size, top, push, and pop. Well, that should all sound familiar. And then you have in place and swap. That C++ 11 right there, which is hard to see, means that that's if you're using the C++ 11 standard or higher. And some relational operators. Okay. Let's go ahead and play around with this a little. Let's go to our class code. stl-stack. stl-stack. We'll main.cpp. Include IO stream, and then what are we going to include for the stack? Well, it'll tell you up here, but I bet you it's stack. The answer is stack right there. So int main int argc. Morning. Morning. Come on in. Okay. So, we have, let's see what we got here. So can we do a stack? So we can do a stack of integers. Oops, I need to make sure it's stack of int. We'll call it a stack. Well, let's see what we're going to call it. You know, we'll call it the I stack there, just to make everyone annoyed. All right, I stack. Let's see, what functions do we have? We have push back and pop back. So we can push and we can pop. Okay. Actually, is it just called push? It is just called push. There it is, push and the value. So we can go over here and push 10. We'll go and push a couple more numbers. 15 and 19. All right. And then what other functionality do we have inside of stack? We can do top, access the next element, and then pop removes it. So we go over here, we do cout iStack.top. And let's go ahead and stop there and see. What do you think should be printed out here?
10.
Make sure it compiles. It compiles. What do we say?
Wouldn't it be 19?
19. Why is it 19?
That's the last one added on.
Yeah, last one added. 19. If I call top again, what is it going to print out? Not a trick question. Which one? 19. All right, good. If I do stack.pop, and then I print out, what is it going to print? All right, we're doing great. Okay, hey, look, they already give you all the functionality right here. We can push and we can pop. Isn't that nice? All right.
I will just use that.
You use that from the lab, you get a 0.
Yeah, I was just literally just. I know. Okay. I said it.
All right, I'm going to try and use these implementations just so you are used to how C++ works, because if you get a job in C++, you're going to need to get used to the STL. But for the class code, you need to adhere to the way we're doing things, because you need to, well, you need to learn how linked list works. Keep on crying. No. But for your projects, of course, you may use the STL.
Oh,
Yeah, but I tell you which ones you may. Well, for the previous project, you may use the vector and the list.
we
STL.
learned vectors.
Well, you said you couldn't use
Yeah.
vectors on project 1.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, you said do not use vectors.
You can use vectors, but I highly recommend against it.
Okay.
We have
It will end poorly.
Well, the guy on Stack Overflow,
Yeah.
What did he say? Oh, I love hearing the guy from Stack Overflow.
it's just vectors.
It's vectors all the way down?
Yeah.
I never go to Stack Overflow.
I love Stack Overflow.
No.
It's so fun.
I just
Every
never
time I
go to
look at
Stack
the-
Overflow.
Whenever you copy and paste the code, you never know what's about ready to happen.
Yeah, I know. Because when there's like, how do you see out something? Like they come up with like this super elaborate thing, which I'm like, I know it's not this elaborate. Like if I'm looking for something, I'm like, I know the answer's not that crazy.
Okay, so that's stack. By the way, vector is for arrays and list is for a linked list. I think it's a doubly linked list. So at some point when you want to use those, they're very similar. You can go and research them. But I will be showing them as I progress through the course. So I'm going to stop here with the recording since I've given you the very extremely brief definition or use of the STL. Oh, any questions about the STL?